The 49ers just got good news despite an absolute heartbreaker to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to tell you all about that in this episode. Hit subscribe if you're looking for more 49ers content like this, but we're going to get straight into the news right now. Following the loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the 49ers did get several updates, and then later in the video, I've got some graphics I worked on during the game. They're not exactly pretty, but I got some other stuff coming out your way, so make sure you don't go anywhere. But let's start with some good news that we got. Firstly, the most important news is that Brock Purdy's toe is fine. That's great news. As far as we can tell from Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, everything seems okay. That's good. Brock Purdy basically said his toe is fine. We also learned that Jauan Jennings said that he has no question that he'll be able to go against the Rams. You can remember last year against the Rams, Jauan Jennings had the best game of his career in a game that didn't have Deebo Samuel, didn't have George Kittle, didn't have Christian McCaffrey, and they had to find a way to be successful, and they did it in that first Rams game up until the final moments of the game. Ronnie Bell dropped the ball, and the 49ers didn't go on to win. But anyway, I digress. It's good news that Jauan Jennings is ready to go for Thursday. He already feels like he's going to be just fine, so that's good considering everything. We don't know, obviously, until tomorrow, really how some of those injuries are going to play out. We'll talk more about that in this episode, but I'll take Jauan Jennings feeling very confident he's going to play on Thursday because the tone from Ricky Pearsall was completely different. We'll talk about that in a second as well. Number 3, offense was actually very productive. The 49ers finding a way to get, I think I got stats on here somewhere. Yeah. Finding a way to get something like just shy of 400 yards of offense. So you got to give the 49ers some credit for that because their offensive production was pretty decent, 389 total yards there. There's a lot we got to break down, but when you think about how things went the way that it did, where things went wrong, I've got to give the 49ers some massive credit for how much they managed to move the ball because there were some moments in that game, we'll get deeper into it later as the video goes on, where the 49ers desperately needed the offense to be productive, and they were. So there was some good stuff in there. Also, the defense, we got to give some shout-outs to the defense for the massive job that they played in several instances in the game. Again, we'll break all of that down later at a deeper level. Some bad things, too. Special teams was just bad. They were just bad from a ton of situations. We'll get into that as well. And then, of course, referees. I don't ever want to blame a game on a referee. We're not going to do that here. The 49ers had well within their rights the ability to win that football game, and they didn't win the game. So we're not going to blame the referees for them losing the game. However, the referees, it felt like they were an opponent for the 49ers. It felt like they were the other team the 49ers were also playing. You could really go all three. Saw Brad Graham say something like that. Like you're going up against the Jags, you're going up against the referees, and you're going up against yourself. That's a problem. But declining the penalty, that was a weird situation that the referee basically admitted that they got wrong. I don't know how there's no avenue for righting that wrong because before the play was allowed to get off, Kyle Shanahan threw a flag or threw his or called a timeout and took a moment to talk to him about it. It's kind of weird that there isn't a way that, they could fix that. That's kind of weird. And then the Upton Stout pass interference play was baloney to me. I don't know how you could possibly call that pass interference. It was the softest pass interference I've ever seen. And on top of that, any amount of contact that you maybe could argue, Upton Stout's going for the ball, and you have a right as a DB to go for the ball. You have every right to do that. So I'm not a fan of that. And then the third one was that pass to Travis Hunter that was not a completion. They called it a pass, which was the problem because then you couldn't overturn it because there wasn't enough video evidence to overturn it. But it wasn't a pass. There's no part about that ball that was controlled. And by the time it hits the ground and he hits the ground, he still had not maintained or he had not gained control of the ball. So there was no way that was a catch, but unfortunately in real time, it's hard to tell that. I didn't see it in real time. So I guess it is what it is. Sometimes that kind of stuff's going to happen. I counted at least 7 drop balls. At least Kendrick Bourne had 3 really bad ones. 2 of them really bad. One of them was just bad, but 3 of them were really, really bad. And one of them was a key first down moment. Bourne took full ownership, so that's a good sign. Another good thing if your special teams didn't give up a massive return for TD, that punt return TD, which that you usually don't do that. You don't see that very often from any team, let alone the 49ers. If you don't give up that massive play, the 49ers win that game. So there's another positive I can look at. Despite the fact that they had 4 turnovers, they still won that game outside of that one special teams mistake. If you could just isolate one moment of the game that didn't go that way, they probably would have won that game. So there's some positives out there. There are also some bad things. The 49ers defensive line, they did not pressure the quarterback enough. And even when they did, they didn't hit QB. They didn't get a QB hit on Trevor Lawrence a single time the whole day. That's not good. You can't have that. That tells you everything you need to know about whether or not this defensive line by itself right now can get it done without Nick Bosa. I think they're going to need a little bit of help. And that's not to say they didn't play well. I thought they stopped the run pretty well for a lot of key snaps. Because they gave up that massive return or that massive run TD to ETN, plus a couple 10-yarders, the stats won't back that up. But they actually played pretty well against the run for the majority of the game. And finally, the worst bad thing, or the last bad thing would be Ricky Pearsall. I have heavy doubts on the fact that Ricky Pearsall is going to be good to go on Thursday. The only benefit for Ricky Pearsall is he sits out Thursday, which is what it looks like to me. Just reading his body language, reading the way that he interviewed after the game, I'm going to say I don't think he's going to be ready to go. But then you get a nice long break, a nice 10-day stretch before your next game. So that's 2 weeks for Ricky Pearsall to kind of work his way back from injury. We'll see how it goes. You never know, but it sure looked to me like not shaping up to be the right thing. All right, let's take a deeper look now. Let's start by looking at throughout the game. I was putting together a little bit of a drive summary. So let's jump into the drive summary here. It's messy, it's nasty, and that's because that's how the 49ers played. Right? What you want to see in a drive summary is a lot of long red lines. And what you see in there is a long red line, field goal. Couldn't get it done in the red zone. The second line, a short red line, and a fumble. That was problematic because they were looking pretty good at that point. Then you get another nice long red line, interception. Another problem. Christian McCaffrey not able to bring the ball in, bobbling it, and linebacker takes control of the opportunity. Then the fourth drive, I think that was a 3 and out. Yep, 3 and out. Punt, not good enough. And I wrote in my notes the D has to be completely exhausted right now to have to then come back out there. And we'll talk about how that impacted the game in a second when we look at the Jacksonville side of the drive summary, which looks a lot cleaner than the 49ers drive summary. Then you go and you kind of before the half, you do that nice long drive, you get a field goal. Would have really liked to get a touchdown. Juwan Jennings dropped the ball in the end zone. I'm not going to call that one bad on Purdy because that's a ball Juwan Jennings catches 99 times out of 100. Last season he caught that ball every single time it went his way, and he's good at those. And Brock Purdy put it where only the receiver can get it, which is your job. That's what you're supposed to do. So I'm not going to call Brock Purdy bad on that one. It hits him in the hands. He should have caught it, in my opinion. You come out in the second half, and you get a nice long drive and a touchdown. You go for 2. You get it as well. Juwan Jennings looks like he's out for the game based on the way he reacted to that horribly difficult hit in the ribs. I thought for sure, I wrote in my notes, he just broke his ribs. For sure, he's out. And sure enough, he came back in, which is amazing. Then you go back out there and you throw a bad pick. It's a bad pick. Look, I want to give Purdy some credit that it was a tipped ball. But you watch the angle of the pass. I know this is Monday Morning Quarterback times a million. But you watch the angle of the pass, and I kind of felt like it didn't really deflect that much. It wasn't like he deflected it and the ball was going this way and then it goes this way and then you get a pick. It kind of felt like if it did anything, it might have skimmed ever so slightly, but it felt like the pass was going into triple coverage. It's one of those layered throws that he's really good at, but if you get it wrong by a few inches, then it's an interception. So that could have been an interception either way. It really could have been. But whatever. We'll call that a tipped ball. It still counts as an interception. I feel like the first interception, I feel bad because that one's kind of on Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey isn't a running back, if it's a wide receiver out there who's got maybe 6 inches on Christian, then that ball is probably within his reach. Like if Juwan Jennings were standing in that exact position, he catches that ball. But Christian McCaffrey's a little bit shorter, a little bit more outside of his reach. Brock Purdy's pass wasn't perfect, but you'd like to think that's a little unlucky that he didn't even get a chance to bobble it. Like one bobble and boom, interception. So I'm going to say there's a little bit of bad luck on that one. Let's see here. Kendrick Bourne with a really bad first down drop on the 8th drive leads to a punt. That was a very, very frustrating drive because it felt like that was it right there. We got to get it. But sure enough, the 49ers continue to produce on defense. We'll show the defensive side in just a second here. In their 9th drive, they get the ball down there. Turnover on downs. Demarcus Robinson unable to catch Purdy's ball. Purdy's ball was a little bit high, to be fair. So I'm going to give Demarcus Robinson a little bit of credit on that one. That it was a tough ball to catch. And then the 10th drive, absolutely game-changing. Driving it all the way from your own 8 or 9 yard line, all the way down, touchdown. A really great play. Really awesome. Purdy keeping plays alive, looking great, moving out of the pocket. Everything was awesome. And then your last shot, your 3-minute drill to win the game. Not even 3 minutes. And you think, this is it. The 49ers are going to get away with a win in this game. How could they possibly have turned the ball over 3 times and had a turnover on downs and find a way to win this game? And just when you think it's about to happen, Aiyuk Armstead, former 49er, comes back, gets in there. I'm not even going to blame Purdy for that fumble because Purdy dodged the first guy brilliantly. So I'm not going to blame Brock Purdy for that second hand coming in from Aiyuk Armstead. Honestly, if your offensive line is so bad that you have 2 guys inside of 4 seconds, 2 different guys who are getting a hand on the ball, and he's dodging and weaving, like you gotta just let that one go. I think that, for me personally. You can let me know what you guys think in the comments as always. But when you look at the drives from the Jacksonville Jaguars, you notice a couple things. Firstly, outside of the 1st and 3rd drive, every single drive starts in good field position after that. They didn't even have a single 20-yard drive. Like, when your punt goes out and then they started the 20, didn't have a single one of those, which is crazy. So they started a little bit rough. The main thing I want to point out with the 49ers here, I mean, we had that 3rd drive was a bad one. The 49ers were gassed, and it was a long stretch drive that should never, ever, ever have happened. Should not have happened because Kyle Shanahan declined the penalty, should have gone to 3rd down. The momentum was on our side. Everything was feeling good in that moment. The 49ers managed to get a stop on the next play. Obviously, I get it. Like, they wouldn't necessarily played that play had it been a 3rd down instead of a 2nd down, whatever. But the 49ers did enough to stop. They did stop them 3 times. It felt very, very frustrating in that situation to let the Jacksonville Jaguars out of that. That was a bummer. And that was also the pass to Travis Hunter that I just don't think was a catch. But whatever. It is what it is. You give up a touchdown, you lick your wounds, and you come back there. And then the 49ers proceed, to let's see, drive 4, okay? You got a 3 and out. Drive 6, you got a 3 and out. Drive 9, you have a 3 and out. These were huge drives, okay? You needed them, and you got them from the defense. But the drive that I want to talk about is drive 5. This is the drive where special teams gives up a huge return, like 50 yards or 48 yards or something like that. They give up in the kick return. They start the drive basically at the 48-yard line because of a good return. Oh, it was a return. It was 2 things. It was a return and it was D. Winters giving up a personal foul. That's what it was. So anyway, they start the drive in the middle of the field, 10 yards from easy field goal range, basically, right? So to hold them to a field goal, despite the fact they had a couple good plays on the 49ers, to hold them to a field goal at the end of that, despite the fact that they were starting on our territory, I'm going to give the defense credit for that play as well, or for that drive as well. So I give them credit for those, for sure. I'll give them credit for drive number 8, where they get the ball, in one of their turnovers, they get the ball on our 26 or 27 yard line, and we hold them to a field goal there. That's the defense being brilliant. That's just my personal opinion. You can get them the ball in basically about to be the red zone. Like they're just shy of the red zone. And you hold them to a field goal without even them getting a first down. You have to give the defense credit on that one. Obviously, the blocked field goal is the one bright spot the special teams had in the entire game. That was about the only bright spot the special teams had in the entire game. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And then the final drive, of course, is them just kneeing the ball. So, whew, goodness gracious, what a crazy game. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments about that one. I had some standouts. I got to go on the defensive standouts. I felt like Fred Warner had a fantastic game. D. Winters also had a great game, had like 10 tackles, something like that. And I'm going to give Upton Stout some credit here because Upton Stout, things didn't really work out well, quote unquote, for Upton Stout on that play where he has that interception and runs it back and gets another 15, 20 yards on it. I'm not having that play call. I'm not having that PI call any day of the week. Like even if it was against me, I would not be calling that PI. I didn't even see it. I didn't see it when I saw it was a pass interference and I watched the play and I heard whoever it was, Mr. Butt Fumble himself, maybe, I can't remember, whoever was on the call and said, he's got contact on the wide receiver. I'm like, what contact are you even talking about? I literally couldn't even see it. I didn't even see it. So I don't love to see plays like that. That really bugs me. And that's the Super Bowl coach there, or Super Bowl referee there. So that's concerning as well. But whatever. I want to give Upton Stout some credit, even though he wasn't the best in the game. He wasn't the best defender out there. Oh, that interception was really momentous, was really special, and it got taken away from him. That was messed up. On the offensive side of the ball, you got Ricky Pearsall had one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's just beautiful one-handed catch falling on his back. I mean, there was no part about that he deserved to catch that. He did. It was just an absolute unreal catch from Ricky Pearsall. Jake Tonjes had a couple really good moments, but the touchdown really special for him. Coming back in there, injured, he's getting up slow several times. Like he's fighting through a lot to be on that football field. Jake Tonjes was absolutely monumental in basically 2 plays. And you got to give him some credit for that. And then Christian McCaffrey, despite having a horrible drop where I don't even know what happened there. I'm like, what is happening here? How have you had 3 drops in 2 games? This is not good. But Christian McCaffrey also had a pretty decent job. I want to give him some credit in the passing game. In the run game, the stats don't really set up really well for him. What are the stats at? Christian McCaffrey, 17 carries for 49 yards. Yeah, averaging 2.9 yards per carry. That's not great. But, what he's been doing all season long, right? In the passing game, you got to give him some credit for that. Christian McCaffrey having 6 receptions for 92 yards. Again, for the 4th week in a row, your reception leader is Christian McCaffrey. You got to give the guy some massive credit for that. Had a beautiful 29-yard play that didn't get called back this time. That was nice. And then Jake Tonjes obviously had those 3 catches for 58 yards in the touchdown. Brilliant when he needed to be. It's hard for a guy to come in there, I have to imagine, and be able to make catches in big moments when you have hardly been involved and you're banged up and you're injured. So got to give Jake Tonjes a lot of credit there. Ricky Pearsall, unfortunately, does not get to be involved in the second half when we could have used him really well. We really needed him out there. Demarcus Robinson with the lone 1 catch. I was a little surprised. I know they said they weren't going to play him a whole lot because of being off for several weeks and just not being, in tune with the squad. But I kind of expected him to be a little more involved in that because you didn't have MVS out there. You had Kendrick Bourne dropping passes left and right. Luke Farrell had a couple, quietly had a couple really important catches there too, by the way. And I think 1 drop, or he was the fumble, right? Who was the fumble? Was it Luke Farrell? Yeah, I think it was Luke Farrell that had the fumble. So that was Luke Farrell that had the fumble. Oh my goodness. What a mess. Christian McCaffrey got away with the fumble as well. Fred Warner did force a fumble. Just unfortunately did not manage to recover it himself, which was disappointing. Marquise Siegel, I thought played really well. I had 1 penalty not go his way that I kind of felt was a little bit harsh. I thought he played pretty well. Marquise Siegel was the guy who was tackling Travis Hunter that I felt like he didn't get credit for that pass breakup that he deserved. That's what I was thinking of. Demo, solid again. Bryce Huff had a couple nice little moments in there. So look, I'm happy overall. I am genuinely happy overall with a lot of what we saw in the game. despite it being one of the worst games to watch. And I was losing my voice throughout the game because it was just so incredibly frustrating. But overall, genuinely, like I come back to those things that I said at the very, very beginning of the episode. Like Brock Purdy's toe is fine. That's good news. Juwan Jennings is going to be good to go for Thursday. That's good news. Offense, very productive despite 4 turnovers. Managing to be that productive and had 400 yards of offense, basically, multiple touchdowns, despite having 4 turnovers, that's unbelievable. Then your defense gets some big stops and some big moments, also had some big mistakes. Everybody's going home with a lot to work on. Everybody's going home feeling bad about that loss, as they should. But I feel like we saw, compared to 2024 49ers, we saw a lot more character out of this team than we did in the losses in 2024. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Sunday evening.